Hey there and welcome back to XCOM. My name is Pete and today we complete the third month in the game, as we are looking to launch a few more satellites and then await our next council report. In the last episode we had our first run-in with EXALT agents in the field, and depending on how things go in this episode we might have our second one today. Before it can get to that, however, we have another building project waiting to be finished, because in just one day we will see the construction of the genetics lab, so I would say let's get right to it and start scanning.
Operational.
So here we are, the genetics lab is built and that means we can now modify soldiers with gene mods. We will not do that at this time, however, simply because we haven't really unlocked a whole lot of modifications. But fear not, that will change in just a few minutes.
Satellite uplink complete.
Commander, our satellite is prepped and standing by for launch. We are ready to deploy it on your orders.
So now it's time to launch our satellites, and because of 2 adjacency bonuses we actually have 4 to work with this month. The first one will go up over Brazil, where panic is becoming an issue, but much more importantly, with this satellite we unlock the We Have Ways continent bonus, which allows us to instantly complete autopsies and interrogations, and we have a lot of those to complete. The next 2 are then obvious choices and will go up over the UK and Russia. Both of these countries have maxed out panic levels, and if we don't give them a satellite we might end up losing them at the end of the month. Additionally though, this also increases our monthly funds by 250 credits, and that is definitely a significant amount.
Satellite launched.
At this point we now have satellites over 3 of the 4 European countries already, and so we might as well get number 4 up and running as well and grab the expert knowledge bonus, which halves the construction cost and upkeep for workshops and laboratories. Considering our playstyle, which does not really rely too much on those facilities, that is definitely not the most useful bonus. I actually would have preferred to grab the one from Asia, but the decisions we made over the course of this series do not really allow for that at this point. So here we are, 4 satellites launched, 2 more continent bonuses obtained, and we also only need to launch 4 more until we have satellite coverage over every single country. For now though, I think it's time to stop by the research labs, because thanks to the We Have Ways bonus we can now instantly complete all of the autopsies as well as the Sectoid interrogation, so let's get to it.
Commander, the genetics lab is now prepped and fully staffed. We can begin genetic modification of our soldiers on your order.
Now, quick disclaimer here, this could become a somewhat lengthy affair as we have 6 autopsies to complete, and all of those will unlock a few useful things. So let's start from the top. The Sectoid autopsy is up first.
We've made a number of interesting discoveries based on the autopsy results of the alien specimen you brought back. The research team is now referring to this particular variation as a sectoid, based on the unusual structure of its internal organs, which we believe to be the product of genetic manipulation. As we've seen in the field, this species also seems to harbor some sort of telepathic ability.
Alright, from the Sectoid autopsy we receive another armament module for our interceptors, namely the uplink targeting module. Just like the defense matrix, this can be used when our interceptors enter combat with a UFO, and it grants them guaranteed hits for the next 2 shots. This is moderately useful if we're using missiles, but I like the defense matrix a bit better. Up next, we now have the Thin Man autopsy.
The Tall One has, up until this point, been unofficially referred to as the Thin Man. Initial testing has revealed a concerted effort by the aliens to modify this specimen's genetic structure in such a way as to make it appear human. However, on closer inspection, they seem to have had some trouble concealing the eyes, which appear to be reptilian in nature.
Alright, this grants us a bit more stuff. We unlock the gas grenade, another gene mod, as well as the improved medkit project for the Foundry. Let's start with the gas grenade, which is again moderately useful. This is basically a poison grenade, doing small amounts of damage over several turns, as well as reducing aim and movement speed. For the Foundry, we have just unlocked the improved medikit project, which is fairly straightforward as it simply increases the healing power of the medikit from 4 hit points to 6. Lastly then, we have the muscle fiber density gene mod. This modification allows a soldier to jump entire stories of buildings, making it very easy to get into advantageous firing positions. Needless to say, this is especially useful for snipers, even more so if they have the damn good ground ability. So here we are, 2 down, 4 more to go. Up next, it's time for the Muton autopsy.
This is the most physically aggressive specimen we've discovered so far, which the troops fondly refer to as the Muton. I can only assume there's a colorful backstory for such a designation.
Alright, and once again we receive a few interesting upgrades, another gene mod as well as another foundry project. In the foundry we can now research ammo conservation. This project more or less doubles the ammo capacity of all primary weapons and is therefore especially useful for weapons with limited capacity, for example the Heavy's LMG or the Mech Trooper's minigun. On the gene mod side of things we have adrenal neurosympathy, and this modification is certainly interesting because whenever a soldier with it gets a kill, the aim, critical hit chance and movement speed of nearby soldiers are increased. However, nearby is being used very loosely here. The range on this ability is absolutely huge. To counter that, however, the ability can only be triggered once every 5 turns.
Based on what we've seen in the field so far, including several grotesque examples of trauma resulting from the emergence of its young, we've taken to calling this specimen a chrysalid.
Now, from the chrysalid autopsy, we receive chitin plating, the needle grade, as well as the bioelectric skin gene mod. Chitin plating is in all aspects an upgrade over the nanofiber vest. Just like the vest, it grants additional hit points, but 4 this time. Additionally though, it also reduces the damage from melee attacks and confers immunity to strangulation. The needle grenade is then an alternative to the frag grenade, sacrificing the frag grenade's cover penetration for a much larger blast radius. The damage dealt is the same, but again the needle grenade will not be able to get through cover. The bioelectric skin gene mod then allows soldiers to sense hidden enemies within a short radius. This is very useful for detecting seekers and breaking their stealth, and there is actually also an achievement related to this modification, so we will definitely equip it on one of our soldiers sooner or later. So here we are, only 2 more autopsies to go, and since we just talked about the seekers, let's continue with those.
Despite its physical appearance, this machine doesn't seem to be made up of any organic components. Its surface has an unusual metallic composition that somehow interacts with the vapors it releases for concealment.
Another interesting set of items here, we unlock the respirator implant and the ghost grenade, as well as the incredibly powerful mimetic skin gene mod. The use of the respirator implant is fairly straightforward. Its main purpose is to give immunity to strangulation and poison, but it also comes with a small armor bonus of 2 hit points. The ghost grenade then mirrors the Seeker's stealth ability and grants a 1-turn stealth to all friendly units in the blast radius. This makes them unseen and gives a large bonus to critical hit chance, and is therefore something that we will definitely try out soon. Finally then we have mimetic skin, widely regarded as the most powerful gene mod in the game. This mod also works in a very stealthy way, but instead of making a unit fully invisible, it only conceals them if they hide behind high cover. This is also an ability that does not have to be manually activated. Instead, it will trigger automatically every time the conditions are met. And with that, we have only 1 more autopsy to complete. Time for the cyber disk.
We've yet to recover one of these in functional condition from the field. The men seem to enjoy using them for target practice. At the present time, we know that the cyber disk, as they've been calling it, is heavily armed, but it shows no clear pattern of behavior on the battlefield.
This time we unlock another armament module and another gene mod, and let's start with the UFO tracking module. Using this module in combat with a UFO gives the interceptor additional time to shoot the UFO down. Additionally, when used at the start of the combat, it also brings the fighter into striking distance immediately. The downside is that 2 cyberdisk racks are required to manufacture this module, so it will likely take a while until we see it in action. Our final unlock here today is then the secondary heart gene mod, a modification that confers complete immunity to instant kills. When suffering lethal damage, this mod will no longer cause the soldier to instantly die. Instead, he or she will become critically wounded and can be saved. So definitely a drastic survivability improvement, one that we will actually use in just a moment. Before we do though, let's now also get that sectoid interrogation over with. It is a priority project after all and will advance the game's storyline.
So, how'd it go, Doctor?
Better than expected. Before the creature expired, I was able to extract some new information from it.
You're saying that thing spoke to you?
Not precisely, but when you have access to a creature's brain, certain patterns can be discerned, recent images and thoughts.
And what exactly was our late friend thinking about?
This particular image appeared in the creature's thought patterns several times throughout the procedure.
We've already met that thing, Doctor. This is hardly the kind of breakthrough we were...
And there was a neural link in the creature's mind between this image and this one.
That's the thing that pulled a disappearing act when we shot down our first UFO. And let me guess, you want to poke around in its head too.
It is the next piece of the puzzle. And this time, instead of shooting it, I suggest we try to capture it alive.
So, it looks like we have a new task ahead of us. After capturing a sectoid alive, we now need to capture an outsider. We can hopefully do that this month in our next encounter with an alien UFO. Hopefully though, we get a bit more lucky than in the last episode where we tried to stun an EXALT agent. We have also received a research credit here, meaning that all beam weapons related research will be slightly faster. In our case, that's only the heavy lasers, but still, it's something. Now, with all autopsies and the interrogation behind us, we can get back to our usual research. And before this brief interruption, we were working on the skeleton suit, so let's have our scientists continue to do that.
We've assembled everything we need to capture and house an alien for interrogation, Commander. The rest is up to our forces on the ground.
In the last few minutes, we have also unlocked a vast number of gene mods, so let us pay a visit to the gene lab now to apply the first one of those.
This facility will be the nerve center of our genetic modification program. Our soldiers will receive entirely new capabilities, making them more effective on the battlefield than ever before. As we improve our understanding of alien genetics, the range of available modifications will expand.
Now, gene modification works somewhat similarly to mech trooper augmentation. However, a soldier undergoing modification will not lose their class, and multiple gene mods can be applied to the same soldier. There is also no rank restriction, so we can in theory modify rookies, but the soldier I have in mind is Heavy Andrea Cook. As you know, either Andrea or Emilia have to participate in and survive every single mission in this game, and that is why Andrea here will now receive the first modification to her chest in the secondary heart. We are of course doing our very best to keep her safe in combat, but this modification here severely reduces the risk of losing her in a bad situation. The alternative would be adrenal neurosympathy, and that is certainly a useful mod as well, however maybe more so for a soldier who gets killed more consistently than Andrea does. Now we will have to spend 15 meld and 75 credits to perform the modification, so augmenting our entire squad with multiple gene mods can be pricey, and it can also be lengthy because as you can see here, Andrea will be out of action for 3 days. The more mods we apply, the longer that period will become. For the moment, however, 3 days is all we can sacrifice.
I'll have the selected volunteer sent to surgical prep immediately. Once the genetic modification is complete, I will notify you directly.
And if you're now thinking, wait, isn't Andrea still undergoing gene modification by the time the next covert operation is due, then yes, you are technically correct, but we actually have a pretty generous time window to complete that next operation, meaning Andrea will be able to attend, which is, again, incredibly important for the Ain't No Cavalry Coming achievement.
Incoming transmission.
We are extremely impressed with the progress of the XCOM project thus far, Commander. Your recent results were beyond our expectations, and that is not a statement this council makes lightly.
So, here we are, another month has been completed. Once again, we finish with a well-deserved A grade. We haven't lost a single mission yet, our soldiers are all still alive. We are also nearing full global satellite coverage, so all in all, I would say we are making very good progress. Apart from a healthy cash influx, we also receive 8 new scientists and 4 new engineers, so especially our research department will work a tiny bit faster now.
Remember, we will be watching.
Now let us continue scanning for another day here.
Power generator complete.
The new engineers arrived this morning, Commander. We're always glad to have more help down here.
And here we are now with another power generator. Now, thanks to that generator, we now have 9 units of power to spare, and originally my plan was to build a satellite nexus this month. However, for that we need an additional 8 engineers, so 2 workshops, which will themselves also consume power, meaning we would have to construct another generator as well. And sadly, we won't be able to do all of that in time and still be able to finish the nexus this month, so instead for this month we will go with another satellite uplink. Now, we might actually be fine if we don't build another satellite uplink at all this month, depending on where the next abductions hit. If all 3 happen in Asia, then we can skip the uplink, but if one happens in Egypt, we will need one more satellite to avoid losing a country. So we will not play it risky here and instead build the necessary facilities to construct a satellite uplink later. More specifically, that's a second power generator, a workshop for the engineers, as well as an access lift. So here we are, everything is under construction. The satellite uplink will then go in that one empty space we still have at the moment. Although, and I think I have to point this out, my planned final layout for the base is going to look a lot different.
In times of war, there's always a leader, a general, someone giving the orders. These aliens can be no different. The real question is, what sort of power or authority does it take to control such a vast range of alien species? What incentive do they have to follow through with this plan?
After Dr. Shen has now shared a few more deep thoughts with us, we can now also purchase a few more of the items we just unlocked, because our next mission is right around the corner. To get us started, we will purchase a needle grenade, which in the right hands might give us a bit more versatility on the battlefield, simply because of its huge blast radius. We will also purchase a gas grenade as a bit more of a strategic tool, and one that could come in handy in our next mission against EXALT. The poison will apply some neat debuffs on our enemies, and it might also make stunning, or in the aliens' case, capturing them a little easier. Finally then, we will scroll down a bit here and grab ourselves some chitin plating. This one will likely go on Sniper George Teasdale, who is currently wearing a nanofiber vest, but the plating is a clear upgrade over that, and because of its larger health bonus it gets the nod over the respirator implant. With this item, George would have hit points equivalent to those of Mech Trooper Nicholas Mahoney, and combined with the fact that he normally stays away from the front lines, this would make him very hard to kill. And there we are. As you can see in the bottom right corner, the covert operation is coming up next, but unfortunately we won't be able to complete that mission in today's episode. I already mentioned this in my channel update video. At the time of recording this, I'm just a few hours away from leaving on a short weekend trip, so the choice was either to upload a slightly shorter, less action-packed episode today, or to make you wait at least 3 or 4 more days for a longer one. I went with the first option to stay somewhat within my usual upload rhythm, but now you can look forward to another hopefully smooth mission in the next episode. Until then, I hope you enjoyed this one, and if you did, then I would be very happy if you could leave a thumbs up. And if you want to support me and my channel further, then go ahead and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Alternatively, you can of course also check out and maybe pledge to the Pete Complete Patreon. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.